Cyber 1, civil target is flight 4, Bravo, 65, 20 low. Everyone.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition on this cold Tuesday evening. Hello, Kelly Joe. Hello, Mary.
Hello.
So, Kelly, what you been up to?
Oh, just keeping busy.
Mary, how you been?
Trying to get better from being sick. But other than that, I'm doing well.
Let's see here. Welcome, Eric Thompson, Kathy A, Amy, Little Twisted, Michelle, and Joey Skis in the house. As everybody's starting to slide in, we got John, and we got a special guest, Liana. Hello there, Liana. How are you doing? And she'll be coming in a few moments. So tonight, we, Kelly Joe, are going to talk about what?
Past lives.
Woo! Oh, I want to know all about my past life. Last time, I think I know what you told me. I was a monk.
Yeah, you were.
Oh my gosh.
The Franciscan monk.
Mama mia, what's wrong with you, Kelly Joe? How come I couldn't be like a scientist?
Well, you got many lifetimes, so.
Right.
Well, I guess we'll probably get started. Do you want me to do you guys first and then we'll do the room?
Okay.
All right, let me see what we get for you first. Well, I see that you were a doctor in like the 1700s.
Ooh,
and you were in France.
Did he use the leeches?
Yep. He used the leeches. He used bloodletting. He used, if you had to do an amputation, he used a saw with no anesthetic. Well, that's what they did back then.
No, terrible.
But he did learn about washing hands.
Oh, that's good.
He's a fanatic about washing hands. Maybe that's where that comes from.
Yes, I am.
Yep, he washed his hands. So there you go. You were burned as a witch, and yeah,
I believe that. I've had dreams about stuff like that, so that's why.
Well, you were a healer, and you did herbs, and they killed you for it.
I believe that.
Whoa!
That was way back in the 1400s too. It's like
unbelievable.
It's like, but then you also had a nice life where you were I'm talking about you, Mary. You came across in the Oklahoma, and you settled, and you made a farmstead. You had cows and goats and chickens, and you had a nice life out there. And then you, Grizzly, also were a mountain man, and you did trapping.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
See, you were looking for Bigfoots back then and didn't even know it.
For furs.
Unbelievable. Well, Liana is in the backstage jumping up and down. Hey, me.
Okay, we'll do Leon. Let me see what I pick up on him. Well, I see like he was part of the first
Liana's
migration.
a she.
Huh?
Liana's a she.
Oh, Liana. I'm sorry. I thought you said Leon. You were part of the first progression of the humans across the land bridge.
Ooh, ooh. So she was a Neanderthal.
Yep. 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 And
Wow.
she was a good hunter.
Wow. Leanne played with slingshots.
Yes, she did. And spears. She was good with that spear. She could kill a mastodon.
Poorly.
Yeah. Hey, you get what you get. I couldn't possibly make this.
Oh, Liana, the images, girl, am I getting right now? For Eric. Eric's laughing.
And let's see. Okay, we got John in there. We'll see what we get for John.
Hi, Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
Welcome.
Well, I see him living in like New York in the 1900s, and he was part of the elite, and he was a congressman.
Interesting.
And he wore the
Top hat.
yep, and the nice dress coat. And then he also was like out west where he wore like a duster, and he was a good pistol shooter. He might even.
I wonder if he would pardon Joe Biden's son.
Yeah. And then let's see what else.
I had to. I'm sorry. I know that was not funny, but it was.
I know, it's okay. I forgot what I was doing. You guys got me derailed now. You put me in the
John said no.
Let's see. Who else wants to get a read?
Amy says, stop laughing. I can't.
I know. Okay, let's do Judy. She was in Broadville. And she was a singer, and then she also did the Can.
Oh, really?
Yep, that era. And then Eric, he's been a mad scientist all his life. He did, but he also came up with inoculation. He helped with what is it? The influenza outbreak. He helped with that. Like the Spanish flu.
Right.
So I see that. Boy, we're getting the older years. Let's see who else.
Jordan.
Okay, let's get Jordan. Had a lifetime in France. And it was during like the French wars. They were a soldier. The revolution. That's what I'm hearing. And then also was a lady of means in the antebellum time in like Georgia. So I'm seeing that. And then Roger, he loves being a man, and he's been.
I've seen him with the coon hat.
Yep, I do, like Davy Crockett days. Yep, and he was a hunter and shooter, and he'd go out and hunt, and he helped people, and he was always for the community and help people.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I see him being a crack shot.
Oh my gosh. All right. Hi, Evo. All right, let me go back here. Hey, Craig. Oh man. All right. Let's see here. Next up, Melinda's got a question for you. Kelly Joe, can you tell me anything about my marital situation?
Are you getting split up?
Oh.
There's like a break in communication. So it's going to take a lot of work if you want to try to make it better because it's sort of broke. I'm not trying to be mean.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No. Rebecca, Kelly Joe, what information do you have for me, for Rebecca?
Oh, you're finally moving forward and you're going to do a bump out with a building, like an addition to a building and lots of remodeling.
Oh, interesting.
And
Interesting. Right.
Rebecca, she was like one of these girls that had a benefactor and she traveled all over and she could do anything better than a guy. I can do anything better than you. That song. No, you can't. Yes, you can. No, you can't.
All right. Next up, Pam Harris.
She had a connection to the early 1900s New York, and she was part of the elite because she wore like one of those bustles with a dress and the parasol. And she was like the proper lady, and she taught etiquette school.
How Bigfoot is this, Renee or Tim, please? All right. And Rebecca from, what did she say?
From Annie, Get Your Gun, my first play.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So funny.
There you go.
Let's see here.
And you could shoot well if you wanted to.
You read it out loud.
Says, hi, can I please ask if I will have a better life soon? My boss treats me like, and even the people who are supposed to put me down and family, it's hard on my.
Hello.
Yes, you are gonna. It's like a phase that you're going through, and
Yeah.
it'll probably turn around in late summer of 2025.
There's a link.
Had to go
You
through
want me to
that.
resend the link?
It's saying that my that it won't support in iOS browser.
Yeah, go to Google Chrome.
Okay, hold on.
Sir.
Now, what was the other question? I lost it.
The next one was Evo.
Okay. You have no patience. You are going to learn patience. And you were a man that was a scoundrel. And in Spain, you were like one of those bandits on the road. So that's what I'm getting on you. So who else wants to? Next.
Next up, Joanne Stewart.
Well, they're right around the corner. So remain open. You can throw away your list.
Let's see here.
And it looks like 2025 will be your year for romance. And Anthony wants a rating too. Okay. Are you starting a business? Because I see a business. And you're going to have two businesses going. And you were a farmer with mules back in the 1800s. And you did really, really good crops. And you could train any mule. So that's what I'm seeing for you.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. It really is. Hello, Crystal. Welcome to the show. All right, our guest is having a little technical difficulties.
Okay.
She's coming in any second here. So let's see here. I'm going through the comments here, a little bit behind. Kathy A.
Okay. You worked with the lady that did the with radiation. What, Curry? Was she the one that did the radiation thing? Yeah. So I see you work with her.
Well, that's interesting. All right, Crystal.
You definitely were a white witch in another lifetime, and you were a healer, and you didn't get killed.
She's got one over on me, Kelly.
Well, I mean, the other got killed, or you didn't.
Right.
And then she also was a nun.
Crystal?
In
A
another,
nun?
in another lifetime. Yeah.
Wow. Crystal, well, we got a story to tell now. She's like Grizzly. All right, next up, Andrea.
She's always she likes being a man better than a woman, because I see her in the Roman army, and she's fought a lot of wars, in other lifetimes. But this lifetime, that's what makes her so strong and stubborn. She can stand her ground with the boys.
All right, Craig.
You got 3 different opportunities coming. You also have always had your gift, because I see you being able to see ghosts and everything, and you were ostracized in your town when you grew up over in Europe in another lifetime, because you could see. So that's what I'm seeing for you.
Little twisted.
Chicago, and you're a gangster.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, bang, bang, bang. Tommy gun, rat-a-tat-tat.
I know, right?
She robbed Yankees. I think she was with some of the famous bank robber people.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Sydney Stewart. Hello, Sydney.
Hi, Sydney.
Hello. Hi.
And what about her, Kelly? Past life for Sydney?
You were a musician. You were like a roaming minstrel back in medieval days. And you were male.
Very interesting. I haven't had a memory of that one.
But that's what I'm seeing.
All right, last one would be Tim from Ohio Bigfoot Researchers.
Back in the Western days, he was the town drunk. I'm sorry.
I can see Tim.
I can't make that up. Sorry.
Oh my God, poor Tim.
Sorry.
He just looked at Renee and was like, "Did you just hear that?" And Grizzly's laughing. So, Sydney, introduce yourself. Tell us all about yourself.
Yes.
Okay, hi. Some of you may have seen me before. If not, hello. My name is Sydney Stewart. I own Spiritual So Simple. I'm in my shop right now. We're a metaphysical shop located in Ashland, Kentucky. I've been in metaphysics for close to 10 years. I've been in native energy working for over 20. I am Cherokee, Appalachian, Japanese. I am a psychic medium. I've been doing this professionally, and I am recognized internationally. I do medium portraitships. I do aura portraits. I do a little bit of everything.
Neat. What got you into this? What age did you start?
In as far as just energy or universal consciousness, I was raised a lot with my grandfather, who is and was he passed this year, Cherokee. So I
Oh.
never really had like a very distinct like this is okay and this is where you should start turning this off because it is not normal to other people. It was very normal for us to talk to the spirit of the river or the trees, or to ask, like, as he would phrase, the great creator, to just speak with them. As far as like the paranormal stuff, close to 10 years. What my jumping off point, I call it like jumping into the deep end. It was like a not really a choice of the matter. It was for me at least, it was, hey, this is something that is malviolent. Learn how to clear this, remove this from this space, because this is something that you're going to be doing for other people. So it was something that would keep cropping up until I learned how to resolve it.
So you change the energy and you heal the energy. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Lewis is asking, when did you see or hear your first guide?
I remember being like, I don't know if this would have been my guide. I think it was, but when I was like maybe 3 or 4, I would remember just having like spots of like, if you've ever seen, if you grew up watching like Disney Channel, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, like the That's So Raven moment where she just stares. I remember being really young and I would just stare and I would hear like, oh, this is going to happen this year. And I didn't know that that was not something that was heard by everybody. So I would be going about my business and then I would hear like, oh, by the way, this person will, whether it would be passed in like this year, and I would forget about it. I would just be like, oh, okay, thanks for telling me. And, you know, kid stuff, go on, go grab my Polly Pocket or something. And then many years later, I would come to find out, like, I would remember it like before the events would happen, but I would remember like where I was, like sitting in like this blue shag carpeted playroom and holding like a giant stuffed unicorn, being like, oh, hey, just so you know, this is happening to this person. And I would say, oh, okay, thanks. And then like, do.
I had that problem too. I thought everybody could see ghosts and talk to them. And, it's just like walking around and going somewhere. You can always see the ghost and thought everybody could see him, talk to him. Your ancestors are all behind you.
Yes, I love still very much talking with my ancestors. I've been blessed and fortunate enough that when my dad passed, um, I I had always done mediumship for others, but that was the first time that it happened like very impactfully for me. I remember it was a very sudden thing. It wasn't something that we had been able to plan for or brace ourselves for. And when he passed, he was talking to me through his whole transition, and like still even joking around with me, trying to like comfort me through his passing. So I'm able to still keep that connection very strongly. The native ancestry will go up my grandfather and that ancestry there.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you see, Kelly?
I see about 7. You have 5 on your grandfather's side and 2 on your dad's side.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandpa's with you a lot and your dad's with you a lot. He likes to sit on your end of your bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then, is there a chair in your room?
No.
Where's the chair at? They're talking about the chair.
I do have a lot of chairs in my home.
Yeah, they talked about they sit in the chair. Over more to the right.
I do have some antique chairs that I got from my grandmother that are like handed down items from
Yeah,
like her grandmother. It could be that.
yeah, they're talking about the chair.
It's amazing. So when did you realize, Sydney, that you were different from everybody else?
I um I think it's something that, especially like being where I am in a metaphysical shop that helps others, I think it's just that I maybe didn't have the same boundaries of like the veil as other people. I think everybody has, if you have any interest at all in like the paranormal, metaphysical, that's a true, genuine curiosity, not just like, oh, that seems like something fun and cool. But if you feel your like intuitive draw to it, you've got this psychic muscle and you've got an ability to like learn and grow that. And I think that it's just going through the motions of expanding that muscle while like deconstructing and releasing any boundaries that we've put in front of it. But as far as like realizing that maybe this wasn't the norm, I remember having like as you do, little sleepovers with my cousins, and particularly I had one cousin who came over a lot, and part of like one of the things that happened early on for me was reading animal totems. And I didn't know what was happening. I did not know what that was. I just knew that it freaked me out terribly. And we were maybe like 9-ish years old, maybe a little younger than that. Maybe, I feel like it was right around, I was maybe 9. She was near me. It was really dark. It was late at night. And I was staring at her. We were like in bed. We had like the blanket up and we were talking. And all of a sudden, I see her face start morphing and changing. And it was into this like almost howler monkey looking type thing. And I remember like just this blood curdling scream just like leaving my mouth. And I was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, what's wrong with you? Why is your face changing? What are you doing? And then she starts screaming and crying because she's like, oh my God, what's wrong? What's happening? And I'm like, your face. She freaked out and cried and like went home. And I don't blame her.
Whoops. Well, you've always seen and felt that.
Sorry, I think my volume's down a little bit.
You've always seen and felt that. You've always seen the dead. You've always seen the totem animals. Being Native American, you'd have a connection with animals.
I'm sorry, I think my volume may be dropped. I have it up as loud as it can go.
Can you hear me?
Just let me scoot this closer. Let's see if that helps. I can hear a little bit.
I said you've always had a connection with animals. That's where your Native American Indian comes in.
Very much so. Always, yeah.
So you're very gifted. You always have been. And it's lineageal. It comes through the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is this something that you've always been doing, or?
Yes. Great grandma was a healer, and mom had sight. She'd have dreams, and I've worked, been this way since I was 3, and I've worked on murder cases and stuff, and since I was 16, and always have done this. And it's like breathing. You know what I mean? Now at your store, do you do readings there too?
Yeah. I read every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I hold the first weekend of every month for open readings. We book out typically a week in advance, so we stay pretty busy with it. That's been really, really a blessing.
So you keep busy, and it's a profitable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful store. I called her earlier. I'm like, hey, Sydney, what are you doing? And she's like, look at my store. Yeah, very beautiful store. I love the layout and everything. It's gorgeous. really
Thank you.
is.
I know we had talked when I had been like in my house, but I was like, oh my God, you get to see the store.
Right, right. So, how has your friends adapted knowing you have abilities?
Jesus. Sorry, how has what?
How's your friends adapted with you having abilities?
How did you say how are my friends like how have they adapted to
Yeah,
us being
with you
around
having
like
abilities.
my gifts?
You're right, with your gifts.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know if my volume is just messed up. Um I mean, they're either cool with it or let me try to find a nice way to say it. They're either cool with it or they're not my people,
Right,
I guess is the best way to say it. Um I have found that just being authentic will be historically will bring out either the best in people or will bring out the worst in people. But either way, people will show you who they are if you just remain consistently who you are. And so through that process, and oftentimes it's very beautiful. Sometimes it's a little bit grueling when it takes a little bit longer for that mask of somebody who's inauthentic to drop. But all of my friends are very accepting, and a lot of them are very gifted as well. I think that's part of just like growing up and being in like the psychic and metaphysical community and spiritual spaces. Um, most of my friends are, some of them even were clients of mine and have been for a really long time, and you just grow really
right,
close.
right. Yeah, and I noticed when I went on the journey and years ago when I was interviewing everybody, it seems like a lot of people gathered with like-minded people, and birds of the feather flock together, right? And because there was a stigmata, it seemed like people with abilities and everything. It's just I just don't understand why people feel that way. But however, how do you use some of your abilities to help people?
Sometimes it's funny enough that it's just I have family members who will either instantly answer my call, or if they're like, I don't want to know whatever it is right now, they will like just text me, ignore the call and text me like, I'll talk to you later. I'm just trying to ride out the space. But there are times like I've spoken to my parents and I've, just going about your day and you hear something and you're like, oh, I got to pass this along. And I've called and been like, hey, if you're thinking about making a $2,000 purchase and or buying a carport, wait on that for at least 3 to 4 months. Click. And, then they call me back and they're like, I don't know how you knew it was $2,000 or that we were going to get a carport because you didn't know anything about it. We haven't talked in, 2 weeks, but thanks. And sometimes uh, they're like just wanting to go through the process of figuring out that lesson or like that advice for themselves, so they'll do it and then you just kind of watch it play out anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll do that with friends too. I'll call them up and give them the message. Sometimes they'll give it to me in a dream. They'll go, hey, got to tell you this, blah, blah, blah. And I'll forget all about it. And they'll say, oh, you called and told me. Yeah.
And I think one of the differences too is like when I'm reading for clients, I have like a million little housekeeping things I say prior to the reading. And then I preface with, you can tell me to shut up at any point in time if we go too deep, or if you need time to process or want to come back to this reading at another time, you can tell me to shut up and I will not be offended, that this, that, or the other. But if I'm talking to my friend, or like one of my friends, or like especially a family member, I don't give them that. I am very much like, if they're like, shut up, I just kind of like stare and I just keep my mouth shut and I just stare them down. Not in like a weird kind or intimidating meaning kind of way, just in a way where it's like, you already know this. I'm just validating something that you've already been hearing and you just don't want to hear it again. So you're going to see, even if you don't want to hear it, you're going to see what I'm trying to tell you. And then it'll be followed by a few seconds of silence and then like either like a sigh and then be like, and then they'll be like, I know I shouldn't do this, or maybe this is a good opportunity. But thank you. Yeah, I don't know. There's just like obviously like less professionalism about it with friends or family, and
Right, right.
sometimes it'll be like if you're close to people and you're doing a lot of work like on the ancestral realms especially, or just like as a medium, sometimes like their ancestors or their guides will like pass messages to you to give to them, or sometimes you just hear them cutting up. Like I have a friend who she's absolutely wonderful, and she also does tarot readings. She does this really fun method that I've never seen anyone else do. I don't do it this way, but it's so fun. And she will mix like 4 or 5 decks together at once, and each deck like is set for a specific thing. So it may be like a 50 card spread, and it's so fun. And her one of her guides, he is like this. He doesn't feel slimy in a bad way, but any crude joke he could make, he's making it. Anything that he can instigate, he will try to instigate it. He's just so funny. And sometimes she'll be talking with me and he'll be like, let them figure it out themselves. Or he'll be like, what was the one where he was like, so it was about, we were talking about a situation where somebody was like getting into something that they really shouldn't be, and he chimed in and he was like, sometimes you just have to let people who are playing with fire get burned. And then he waited a few beats and he was like, and sometimes you burn them yourself. And I was like, oh.
That's funny.
Mhm.
Now, you also do this remotely across the world, isn't that correct? Globally?
Yeah, I think my furthest client has been in Zimbabwe
Oh,
so
wow.
far. So that's always really nice. I have a few people in Ireland who I know like keep tabs with me pretty often. Um, that's been very very wonderful. Just being able to like share culturally and also get the differences in the spiritual realm of what's happening, because how you deal with things here is not how you deal with things in like other parts of the world, because you may be dealing with something entirely different that plays by a different set of rules and like a different set of rules and different like methods of either communication or laws, and like how to finagle those to make them work.
Yeah, that's
You
very interesting.
you mean that they're different customs and stuff?
Or even I think I mean like more paranormally, like here in the States a lot, and like around the world a lot of the times, if you're dealing with something that is authentically like in someone's home, and like 99% of the time, if there is something, which most of the time there's not, if there is something, 99% of the time it's a ghost.
Right.
And yes, I remote view. um I also teach a psychic development course on how to strengthen your own abilities if you're interested in remote viewing. But
Oh, interesting.
the kind of like paranormal aspect is everywhere in the world there are things that are like benevolent beings and really malevolent, but it's not always the same thing. Like here we have a lot of um, attachments or like lower level like mimics, or it grows into like different levels of like demonic things that could happen and do
Right.
happen. But over in like in Zimbabwe, there were jinn, and jinn do not play, and they're like I've not seen like too many, and they're very like rare to see at all, so I was surprised to see any. But when you find one, they nest like Russian dolls, so there were like just like a bunch like just stuffed in, and there are meanies up sadly. Yeah. um but in the removal of that, it's kind of like, to me it feels like a probate situation, because when you go in you have to like relearn or like fill out and go before a different court of, okay, so are they breaking rules, are they going rogue, is there like an agreed contract at place here, like did this person agree to this, all of these things. And sometimes customs do come into it too, like you say. sometimes the invisible invitations of like somebody hearing a knock at the door and then opening the door and not knowing that that can be like a loophole-y kind of invitation situation. Like a lot of us here operate and are aware of that. They may have different kind of like loophole-y situations that because I'm not like culturally fluent in what those things are and how true they hold or don't hold, I don't know what the little staple is in the contract that needs to come out to be able to pull it apart and figure out where has this thing crossed or broken a cosmic law that gives us the right to remove it.
Understood.
Yeah. Sorry, I will just yap about that.
Different rules at play in other countries.
Yeah, just even culturally. And it's not like necessarily defined by national lines. I've seen one other time in the US, well, two, but one other time in the US, I had seen another gen, and it was with a guy who had made like an agreement. So at that point, that was on him because it was a willful thing. And even if you remove something willful, it's kind of like somebody just keeping a door open. If you remove that and they keep the door open, something else will come back until they decide that door has to be closed. You can remove or even kill one thing, but
something
until
else to
they
replace
stop.
it. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I like it how you go to clear a house. I didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
You did something.
Oh, or sometimes, do you ever get where they're like, no, I'm just passing through?
Right, yep. Of course you are. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Or another big one is like having to go and like astral to check and see like if they have a contract or not, because some of them, if they are rogue players, not balanced players, they will like try to lie about having been like a willful contract, and you can't unfortunately always believe the person,
Right.
because sometimes they get scared or they feel guilty or they're just under so much influence because of the presence. They just refuse to admit that something could have been willful.
Absolutely.
And at that point, they aren't revoking their permissions because they're refusing to acknowledge it. So you have to kind of go and check.
Yep, absolutely. Because if they keep bringing it back, no, uh-uh.
And some people just enjoy it. I don't get it.
Preach to the choir. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know, right?
No. I cleared a house one time and it killed the dog. And the people decided they wanted it back because they didn't have anything to talk about afterwards. I'm like,
Wow.
Wow.
So, what are some of your most pleasurable and enjoyable experiences helping people?
I think anytime that it's hard to pick for like helping somebody process emotionally or like trauma in their body, that's always like beautiful to see, because a lot of times they just start crying and they have this like big emotional release. If you can go into like past life or childhood regression, they're finding wounds that they've suppressed so much that have impacted them for years, and helping that healing journey. I think probably because of my connection to it, the mediumship is another way that has always felt very nice. Sometimes there was actually a couple customers in here last week or week before that we weren't supposed to be doing a reading. They asked for one, and I was like, "Oh, I don't normally read on Tuesdays. I have this, and this going on. My schedule's full." But I was working up at the front for a little bit of time, and while I was helping them pick out some things. The woman had just casually mentioned that she wanted a stone for grief, and upon her saying that, that kind of opened the gate for all of her stuff to come through, because she mentioned what her intention was, right? And her husband, who had just passed away not even a month ago, came through and started talking, just while we were in the store, and that she started crying and just sobbing, and she just like ran over and hugged me, and I was that kind of impact and being able to validate, especially when it's stuff like that can validate for them that you would have no reason to know what's happening, or like I would have no reason to know that he always wore these 8 pieces of jewelry and describe what they looked like exactly, or describe their physique, or um, always like a couple keywords or like nicknames that they called them, those kinds of
Right.
things. Normally it's those triggers of, oh, this sounds like and is this person for real, that you just see everything like kind of heal in a moment with them, because it's like it heals a faith that there is an afterlife, even if they don't realize that is something that is part of like their trauma and grief when somebody passes, is like reckoning their own mortality. A lot of the times they're so focused grieving whoever has passed the physical realm, they forget that like that is something that at least subconsciously is going to like rear its head if you're not at peace with the afterlife. So I feel like that validation that yes, there is an afterlife, and yes, you can still come and, as he was doing, pester your loved ones, because I was like, I can't say that to them. You are freshly a month past. They are coming here wanting something heartfelt. And he was like, and tell her I was right. and I'm sitting there like,
That's wild.
and I remember one of his it was, sometimes they're just so funny, and I'm left being like, I really hope that you're not just messing with me instead, because I'm gonna sound so mean if you're just messing with me. But one of his messages, and it was like a very tragic, very sudden and abrupt passing for him, but he had like left a mess around, and she was always complaining about cleaning up after him. And one of the things he would always say was like, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone, or you're gonna miss this mess. And like, so very, very fresh. One of the first things that he said, he started laughing, and he was like, tell her that I was right. She misses me when I'm gone. And then he started laughing, and he was like, tell her that she has to clean up my mess. I'm not gonna do it now. And she's laughing and crying, and I was too.
Oh.
That's sweet. That's something else. So, Sydney, how do people find you, follow you, and come visit you at your store?
Yeah, spiritualsosimple.com. We are located in Ashland, Kentucky. We're right beside the Paramount Arts Center. We book online. I do classes in store every weekend. I have a very popular psychic development course. We do tea and tarot group class events, all kinds of things. So you can find me on Spiritual So Simple on Facebook and on our website.
Awesome. Well, I'm so thankful that I got to catch up with you for a brief moment. And I'm so glad. I'm going to have to come down and check out your store.
Please do. I know you're not too far from us. You'll have to come check it out. We've got like a little private lounge area that we have like on the other side of our store. And it's for our gym members. Gym, GEM, like gemstone, not
Right.
working out gym members. But for our like little club members, we all have like a big herbal tea station back here. So we hang out back here a lot.
That's nice. What do you think, Kelly?
Yeah, I think you're awesome. It was very nice to meet you.
It was great to meet you all. I'm apologies in advance. I'm a big yapper, so I feel like I talked most of the time.
It was great. Well, thank you for coming on and joining us. And from coast to coast, around the world, ladies and gentlemen, good night. We'll catch you on the next show. Bye-bye.